And welcome to That 90s Spider-Man Show, which is a Spider-Man podcast where we go through Spider-Man the animated series, yes, the one from the 90s, and we talk about it, some stuff. And this would be with that, but this is not that. This is actually a bit of meditation because 5 years ago, round about today, we had this crazy idea to talk about Spider-Man the animated series, and then the world went to shit several times in different ways. And we're here to reflect on this because I don't know about my co-host here, but I can't believe that we did 5 years of this. And we've probably got a few years to go. Let me introduce myself. My name is Henry, aka according to the meeting notes, Spank and Hank. And alongside me, as always, is my trusty co-host, Jack.
Yeah, I'm Jack. I'm the comic book guy of the podcast. And also my friendship circles. I don't know many people in real life who read comics. I'm also the reason that you'll put this podcast on 1.5 times speed because I speak slow. And I forget what I'm talking about as I'm talking.
To be fair, I think we kind of even each other out because I feel like you have to go at 0.5 speed for me. So,
No, yeah. I'm the reason that it goes to 1.5 and then you start speaking and they're like, no, go back to
slow down,
one.
slow down.
I can't. Maybe if we were to, I should do it in post. I should edit it differently.
I feel like one of us would sound deranged at all times.
Yeah, I guess I speed myself up, I slow you down, and then we'll be a regular podcast.
You'll finish the podcast and I'll just be speaking for slow-mo for like 35 minutes. Just making like Dory whale noises for 45 minutes. I'd listened to that podcast not many times, probably only that once, and then I'd unsubscribe, but it would be a really interesting idea to do exactly once.
If this is anyone's first episode, this is kind of what the podcast is like, in that we're just like, we're literally introducing ourselves and we've already gone off on a tangent, and Henry is already making whale sounds.
Oh, how long is that? Like 8 minutes? Okay, yeah. So to introduce the podcast, this is what we do. We talk about Spider-Man in the animated series as like a bit of a jumping off point to just kind of just shoot the shit, really.
Yeah.
And if this is your first episode, this is a good one to get into because you can tell exactly what kind of podcast it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you can decide whether or not it's your shit because that's what we want, really. If it's not your shit, then that is okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing in that, like, I think technically the best way to listen to this podcast is to go to episode 1 and watch through. That's just how I listen to podcasts and stuff. Also, they'll be running jokes and stuff like that. But on the other hand, like, our first episode, wasn't it like recorded with like your like work laptop's like built-in microphone or something?
Well, my home laptop, because I use my home laptop to work.
So. Oh, right. Yeah, even better.
Yeah. So, and then we get to the podcast. I basically found like a little table on the street, and I was like, "This will be our podcast table."
I forgot. I wasn't going to mention the table because I was like, it's not that interesting, but it is interesting because you found it on the street.
I just like was in East London, and I was like, I was like, maybe we're like even conceptualizing what if we did a podcast, and I was like, this would be a good table for it. I just brought it in from the cold.
Wait, was that? Did you buy it for podcast? Buy it? Did you take it for podcast reasons?
It was like 75%, 80% the reason. I was like, what's to be good for that? Because I was like, free table, right?
This is a real like a literal like dumpster dive podcast.
Yeah. This is the kind of like quality we like. I would say aspire to, but that's not what's happening. There's no aspiration here going on. But I guess on the other hand, like if you're thinking about making a podcast, you literally could not do worse. Like, it's that easy.
Yeah, we did have a listener ask us because they were starting a podcast, like for advice, whatever. If people want advice, they can get it because, like, I mean, that's why I did it. I knew someone online who'd made a podcast, and I was like, how do you do any of this? Because it's so confusing. And the answer is you figure a bunch of stuff out, and then you do it wrong, and then realize you did it wrong, and then start trying to do it better. So you go back to the start, and it will, like, the audio sounds bad. I'm also learning how to edit audio, and we also, like, we're trying out structures.
I think at that point, I wasn't used to people, like, paying attention to what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that makes sense. So I was just rambling. Not like I stopped, but like I feel like I'm more focused on my rambling
Yeah, there's
now. It's more of a bit
consequences
that I was
for what you
doing.
say now.
Yeah.
The
I
consequences
try not to get
being,
cancelled.
yeah, I just cut it out.
Yeah.
But like,
Consequences are it gets censored. I mean,
I was thinking about the other day. I think the vibe is more like of the podcast has ended up being kind of like Statler and Waldorf, the old
the
man
old
puppets.
Muppets and
And I thought of that as a joke, and then I was like, that's actually pretty accurate, right? Because
yeah.
you watch that, like, those guys turn up for the Muppet Show every fucking week, right? There's part of them that likes it, but they chat shit the entire time.
Yeah.
So I think you could listen to this and be like, wait, I like that show, and like, this guy Henry seems to hate hate
Everything
Spider-Man.
about it. Yeah. He seems to hate him. And like it's not true, like mostly. But I also think there's lots to like ridicule and like you said, like I don't think it's a show where you can be precious about the things that are going on because all of it is absurd. But yeah, like I wouldn't take what I say seriously as a general rule, you know,
Yeah.
on or off air. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, also like you said about like the world uh early on, this podcast has also kind of like tracked that a little bit, just
mm,
because we can't stay on topic really, and we started. It's crazy to think how early it was, but we started this in 2019. Maybe
mhm.
we'll go into that in a second, but like we were friends from work, and then in early 2020, we made the decision to move in together. This is in London. We had a place in Brixton. The address is 12 Road.
Actually I don't care if we get doxxed at this point. Like we don't live there anymore. So throw eggs as for what I care.
Yeah, well, also, like, it's
Harass on the tenants.
as the editor, I can do that knowing that I'll bleep myself.
Okay.
If you were editing, I'd say that as a joke, and then you might forget,
I
and
would just be like,
or
yeah,
leave it in
forget.
out of spite. Yeah.
I'll just be like, let's see what happens, you know? Just go full chaos. Because legally, what can they actually do? I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, who's going to suffer? Our landlords.
Oh no, a landlord's suffering. What's come of the world? They give so much and they expect so little. Who will ever think of the landlords?
Wouldn't someone please think of the
Please think
landlords?
of the landlords.
So we moved in, and then we were like, okay, like now we don't need to do this by traveling to each other's places in like flat shares and finding time and hoping people aren't noisy. And you lived in East London. We always recorded there, and there was like sirens going by because it's East
I lived in an
London.
ambulance route.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like every now and again someone will get stabbed and they'd have to like wheel us to the hospital
we're making
along
like
my road.
we're making London sound like some like post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max shit.
Like Predator 2 style LA.
Yeah,
There's like gangs going on and
yeah.
like
It's so hot. We were
yeah,
sweating all the time.
yeah. I'm Danny Glover, Gary Busey.
I'll take it.
It's been hot in this shit. I find a predator now. God
Yeah,
damn. Yeah. So
that would be great. I'd love to podcast with those two characters, just
yeah.
arguing about different ways to deal with the predator slash Jamaican gang problem.
So Jamaican Gat was that Steven Seagal movie or was it both?
I think they both had like kind of like racist voodoo stuff going on.
Yeah. Because I feel like they were probably not intended to, but Mark for Death and Predator 2 are like almost the same film.
Yeah. Well, I'd
I
say
mean,
that
there's like
like Predator 2 I enjoy. Marked for Death I feel like depressed me.
what I will say is that like one of them features like a giant hulking monster hunting people for sport that no one really understands or like figures out, and the other is the predator.
Yeah, man. Oh, are you still reading that Steven Seagal autobiography or novel?
It's a novel.
Yeah. Did you
It's about
finish
him
it?
basically. Hell no. I think
Well,
I think
you
there was a
bought
point where I
it.
was like, I didn't think I bought it.
Oh,
I
okay.
hope I
Did you
didn't.
find it in the street?
I think I like downloaded it for free. It was like one of those like Kindle app thingies where you can download it for free,
Mm.
or I bought it. That's also a possibility.
Right.
I'm not ruling out the possibility that I bought that book,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but it was kind of awesome. He was basically like, I don't know if he actually is Native American in real life, but he was basically like this Native American superhero kind of guy who was finding out like the things behind the government, and he'd
Mm.
always talk like basically like a Native American stereotype where he'd like talk to the eagles and the wolves and like be one with nature.
Ah,
And it was
right.
like, okay, this is exactly what I hoped for. This is
So
exactly what Steven Seagal would create.
I feel like even if he is Native American, they probably keep it on the down low.
He's definitely not Native American.
Anyway, moving on from Steven Seagal. So it was 2020 that we moved in, and then like a month later, the pandemic, went into full swing. We went into lockdown, and we were like, at the time, kind of like, well, obviously this is terrible, but like at least like I only have one flatmate now. It's a friend. It's not like strangers that I've
Typical
like
man dad.
yeah, that I've figured out a situation with. No diss to previous flatmates if they're listening, but like
The off
a
gods.
decision was made to live with a specific person, and we had this flat. It was like one of the nicer flats we'd been in, aside from all the problems with it.
Yeah.
And we had the chance to like, oh shit, we can just hang out and like watch a bunch of bullshit. That's when we started our Patreon. We watched like all the Blade like media for
We covered that shit.
yeah, which I mean, the prospect of doing that now, right? It's hard enough to like figure out times to where we can both record the podcast, let alone like be like, oh, let's watch every single Blade thing. Like if we were to do that
Yeah.
with another thing now, it would be like we got other stuff to like prioritize on a recording schedule.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of like feeds into like what's happened in the last few years. But yes,
Right.
also like I think there was a point in our lives where like we had all this free time.
Yeah.
Like I think we were both working, but it was kind of like a very like I didn't think people thinking of the pandemic yet. It was
Yeah.
kind of just
We
cracking
we were
along.
working from home, and like I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't actually get COVID for a while, and
I think I got one like super early before people realized it was COVID.
oh yeah, because you got like super sick when like I think it was just like a rumor, or you were in like a fish market in China, right?
Oh yeah, no, I bit the head of a bat because I was trying to impress Ozzy Osbourne,
Right.
but he wasn't looking at the time, so it
Yeah,
was all for nothing.
got really sick and then started like touching everyone you saw at the airport. But
That's just like airport fare, it's just a post 9/11 world.
but yeah, no. So we got like super into it then, and I just find it weird to think that like that was like a year into the podcast.
Yeah,
That's super weird.
it's completely insane.
Because I think of it as like we did that for like a year or something, and then our schedule sort of became a bit out of whack. And I'm like, now it's the longest portion of this podcast has spent with us being incredibly disorganized.
Yeah, we spent more time out of work than in whack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what were you saying about things changing? Like we had that lockdown, right? And
What
then
lockdown?
we
I didn't know what you mean.
yeah had no effect on anything really. Our lives were
Yeah,
completely unaffected. And then since then, like we've both been like laid off from jobs. We've both done degrees.
we're both now educated to a higher level than before we started. We're quote unquote smart people now.
Same level of employable though.
I saw slightly less now.
Yeah, no, just more tired,
Yeah,
more bitter.
yeah, I'm just angry at the world now.
So we did that, and then I got married. Then I moved in with my wife, and then this is probably should have been the first thing, but I moved to Canada like a
Oh
month
yeah,
ago.
we should have clarified. Yeah, this is being done over Zoom because
Yeah,
my
yeah, we didn't even say
co-host is
that.
now like a several-hour flight away.
Yeah, it's like the morning for me, and it's the evening for you. And this is the first time we've got to record since then. So I'm like, in British Columbia now. I'm wearing flannel, drinking maple syrup, high as fuck, riding a moose.
It's actually like really, really disorienting to watch him like fuck around on this unhappy moose because this moose doesn't want to be there. And you can't hear it now, but we have to edit out all the sounds of him like smacking up maple syrup with his lips. It's kind of distracting. The mukbang that he's got going on is
Yeah,
he's masterful editing really to get it out of that because it's distracting. It's like the worst kind of ASMR.
yeah, it's really hard to edit these sounds out. It's a new kind of tech I need, a new kind of maple
Yeah,
syrup filter I need for the mic.
it's only really sold in Canada. It's a Canadian software.
I mean, there is like a lot of like maple syrup here, and it's a lot cheaper. But like, I did this move right, and what was crazy is the last thing we recorded, like the last like main feed thing we recorded in my flat, like surrounded by boxes, while I was like basically taking a bunch of bullshit I'd accumulated over years. Because I also moved to Canada on very short notice. I had like a couple of months to go from I live in England to now I'm going to move somewhere else and start that process. And it worked out okay, but like it was very stressful. And for some reason I was like, we still need to record an episode during this.
I feel like maybe like you had to like do a bit of packing therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could have used it while I was moving up my stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I also had to move house across. Well, I'm across the Atlantic, as across the Thames, which is much smaller.
Yeah, you probably had
And
the worst time.
I had a terrible time. I had to take an Uber across London, and I had like the weirdest Uber driver in the world. He was like some like I think he was Bulgarian, and he had this thing where like he basically stopped eating. So he was telling me how like he was like surviving purely off of Red Bull and bottles of water. And like on this like hour-long trip, he chugged like 3 like 2-liter bottles of water. It was insane. He was like, yeah, like you shouldn't do this. If you drink as much water as I do in this fast, you go hospital. I was like,
Why is he doing it then?
I don't, because it makes him strong. Apparently, he's
Oh
like,
my
in
god!
the last 2 days, I ate like one sandwich and that's it. And I'm like,
Right.
are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm strong.
He proceeded to pick up all your stuff at once and carry it into your flat like a
Something
Superman.
like that. Basically, that's how it worked. So I was like, maybe he was onto something. But that was my Uber journey across the city. And then I had like another moving van. Basically, I had to like bribe with cardboard boxes to take all my stuff.
Okay. Is that the new bartering tool in like Predator 2 Mad Max London? So
Yeah,
the new currency
basically.
is cardboard.
Because yeah, like I had to go through like one of those like actual van services, and they charge you for every item that you have. And I was like basically fudging it, being like, "Can you carry this as well? What about this?" And he was like, "No, I don't think I can do it." Although I noticed you got some copper boxes. You're gonna use those copper boxes, and I was like, "Hmm, what's in it for me? How would I trade these copper boxes for one extra item?" And he was like, "Sure, deal." And I had the barter.
I'm imagining this guy is like Carl Weathers in Arrested Development. You know,
Oh
like
man, yeah.
really frugal. And it's like, hey, what are you doing with those cardboard boxes? You know,
You gonna use those?
get a stew going.
Well, cardboard stew gun.
R.I.P. By the way.
Man, it's so weird. I completely forgot that he died as we were talking about it.
Yeah, I kind of like it's the same with him and like Lance Reddick too. Like it's
And
just
and
like
Android Breuer and
yeah.
Coolio, four like
Uh
black people that I'm like,
for some reason my brain can't register that. Like it can't
yeah.
hold that information in.
I had to like keep like reminding myself, oh yeah, all those people that I admired as artists are dead.
Yeah, I mean it's insane. Uh I mean, do you have a transition away from tragic celebrity deaths back into talking about our podcast? Because I don't.
I don't have a good one, no.
No.
But yeah, so yeah.
Speaking of transitions,
Yeah. Transitioning from like moving into well, to kind of relate it to the podcast, one like big thing that kind of changed as we started the podcast is that basically in 2019, February 2019, we had the Tobey Maguire movies, we had the Andrew Garfield movies, and we had one Tom Holland film
one Spider Verse, I guess as well.
and one Spider-Verse
It had just come out, right?
just come out. And everyone was like, oh, this is pretty good. But like since then, not only has like fucking Far From Home came out, which was big, and then No Way Home came out, which was bigger. But we also had the most important aspects of Spider-Man. What was the name of it? That YouTube series, that movie came out, which was um bad.
Oh, the fan film?
Yeah, that was also
Oh,
came out.
Spider-Man Lotus was what it was
That
called,
was
right?
it. That bullshit.
Did you
And
watch
then
it?
no, I did
Right.
not watch it.
Yeah, I think I heard everything from like a friend of the show, Gina Versa from the Waffle Press. He's been on the show
Oh yeah,
before. I think he watched it. I watched a clip from it. At no point did I try and engage with the production of that movie because
yeah.
I think I wasn't particularly interested in it anyway. And then it like went completely off the rails. And I was like, okay,
Everyone involved with it turned out to be a piece of shit. But I think like the one thing that's changed in the last 5 years is that we've got like oh yeah, I forgot about the video games, of which there have been three.
free.
And
What was the
oh sorry,
third?
two. Sorry,
Right.
two. There'll be two.
Yeah, and you haven't
One
had a
I just
chance to
out.
play the second one yet, have you? Because,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
I played the
like,
second one, I played the third one.
oh,
Just
right, Miles. I always forget that's an
yeah.
actual separate game because it's like
Yeah.
so much shorter.
It's like a basically like DLC for the third game. But yeah, basically those games came out. And I
Mm.
think like just and as well as another Spider-Man came out. But I think there's been so much Spider-Man content and like so much discourse on Spider-Man content that like I'm actually kind of glad we kind of picked this rather than any of the movies or the games because basically like the saturation has become crazy.
Yeah, saturated is the word for it. It's actually, I think, one of the strangest things about this because, like, unfortunately, all this stuff sort of comes out when we were like didn't have time to record stuff as well.
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, like I think the most relevant thing to our podcast to come out is coming out a couple of days after this we're recording this, which is the Madam Web movie.
Yeah, the most important thing.
Yeah, I feel like Madam Web is like has always been like kind of on the fringes of the comics, you know, and is like way more relevant in this cartoon than any other form of Spider-Man media. And then they're making like a movie out of it, which looks pretty terrible.
It looks like Terminator 2.
What?
Like basically this is the plot where like some guy's coming to kill somebody that's important to like I don't know. Maybe
I
that's
thought
like
you were
me like
comparing the quality then. I was like, I don't think many people
no,
are going to be on
absolutely not.
board with that.
No, not that quite that far. I do kind of feel like my boy Adam Scott is going to end up to be Uncle Ben, but
Oh,
yeah,
fucking,
like apart from that,
that is so strange. It does
but
amuse me
also
that
like
it's Adam
exactly
Scott.
what they would do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some rumor that he has a alternate version of the Great Power line in it where he like says it in a different way in that movie. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, like that's I think like the biggest difference between when we started this and when it kind of expanded. And to talk about the things that I've also passed, we also have had like two Venom movies and a Morbius.
I never thought that who? I never thought that that Venom movie was going to get made. It was like they kept every like couple of years they'd be like Sony still want to make that Venom movie, and I was like, you're not going to make a Venom
Yeah.
movie. So I was surprised when they did it. Surprised when it was successful. Then they did a second one. Then Morbius, and then Madam Web. I was like, that's 100. Like they shelved a Black Cat Silver Sable movie called Silver and Black. That is like concept wise you pair a mercenary who like has a history of like hunting Nazis with like a jewel thief, and you know you give it like a dynamic name like Silver and Black. It's not called like Black Cat, The Lost Kingdom, or something boring.
Like you fucking Aquaman. Fucking hell, Aquaman.
But then I was like, that's a great concept. They shelve that. But they're like, no, we're going full force with this Madam Web movie.
Because everyone wants Madam Web.
Yeah, famous for being immobile and blind and serving mystical hints occasionally to a superhero who will not be appearing in the movie. I mean, I don't know. I even saying that, I'm like, maybe there's a version of that movie that could work. But I mean, not from the studio behind Morbius.
I feel like if you couldn't get Morbius to work, how are you gonna get like sexy psychic Madam Web to work?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, eventually like a blind squirrel finds a nut, but like keep on looking, little squirrel, because this is not your nut.
I think going back to the saturation thing, like it kind of feels like that Treehouse of Horror thing where like Homer is like eating endless donuts and just getting bigger and bigger. It did feel like that for a while, like general Marvel movies, for me as a Marvel fan, because it was like, even when they were bad or average, I was like, I'm still going to get something out of watching these. And then when people started talking about superhero exhaustion or whatever, I was like, I don't really feel that, but like I see why people would, and I don't think it's perfect. And then it's like even I then got to that exhaustion point probably like a year after you got there.
I don't know if I can count the exact moment when I did, but it was it may have been just before No Way Home where I was like,
Yeah.
ugh.
I mean, even No Way Home, I had a great time watching that. I feel like you were like less positive than me, but you weren't wholly negative in our review. I was surprised by
That was just because they want to upset the nerds.
well, I'm looking back at it now. I'm like, I think us giving that a positive review was a symptom of long COVID.
Yeah. It was fucking Stockholm syndrome. It was we were
Yeah,
being
so
gaslit
yeah,
by
because it was
Disney.
like I feel like it was like one of the first movies we saw in the cinema in a long time. You know, especially probably the first like Marvel or
Yeah.
any kind of
Maybe
superhero thing.
Shang-Chi. When was Shang-Chi?
Oh, Shang-Chi might have been before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Although, was that before the. I don't even know what time is anymore.
That might have been 2024. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But like the point being that I felt like with No Way Home, like it was really just like nakedly manipulative.
Hmm.
And like it was the first time where I was like, oh, they think we're fucking rubes. And they were right.
Yeah, that was the thing is that I think in the review I was like noting that it felt like they were playing me like but I was like happy to be played, you know? Like I was still fine with that because I was like, yeah, I mean you are like hitting me in the nostalgia and I mean it helps that all these actors are just like good in their roles. But yeah, I mean I feel like I just don't have any faith in the next Spider-Man movie. But then saying that, like the last Spider-Man movie that came out, Across the Spider-Verse, was really good, you know? But on the flip side of that, all things in this fucking hellscape we call Earth, it comes out and it's really good, and then it's like, oh, all like the VFX guys were like horribly mistreated and overworked during that
Yeah.
process. And then all the strikes and stuff happened afterwards, like not because of it, but you know, it was
As
you
a
know,
consequence, like of what was going
yeah,
on at that time.
yeah, that kind of treatment of work is so it's like you then start like, man, I can't even enjoy this movie because I'm thinking about like how people are mistreated in work and everything like that. So it's all like it all feels too much, and I'm very much in a place where I'm like I could go like 5 years without any of these movies just as a cool off period, you know?
Yeah. I think like the thing with Spider-Man movies is not so much that they became worse, but more because like there were just too many of them. You know?
Right. Well, I also think like they're avoiding being Spider-Man movies a little bit. They're like kind of dodging dealing with like I don't necessarily need them to directly adapt something from the comics, you know? Like I know a lot of people would like to see Craven's Last Hunt or something in a movie, but like I'm like I don't necessarily like need that. Just to have a story where you just kind of like the story in the first Spider-Man game where it's just like you're taking bits of the mythos and you're like rearranging them a bit, but you're telling a story that like comes back to, you know, the character of Peter Parker, his relationship to the people around him and to the city. You know, the plot stuff is there, but it's like secondary
Mm.
rather than like I don't know, I think like No Way Home was all plot, you know, like it was all like, you know, rushing around trying to undo the actions of the last Spider-Man movie.
I mean, like for a movie that was like 2.5 hours and it was all plot, surprisingly little of it actually made sense. If you think about what happened in the movie, you're like, oh, this is just like a dozen studio executives just like throwing money at a ton of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think part of what like I think what the show has, which movies don't, is that it feels like a lived-in universe that is moving along.
Mm.
Whereas like, and we'll touch upon this later in maybe like the highlights of it, but like thinking about like the interview we did, one of the points I remember making was about like if this is what we do with the next movie, what comes next? How do we top this? And it feels like each time they're trying to top each other and trying to like raise the stakes even higher. Because I don't feel like next Spider-Man movie people are going to give a shit because we did everything. We blew our load,
Yeah.
and there's just a bit of a mess on our hands.
You can't just keep escalating infinitely
Yeah,
because it just makes everything feel smaller in your hands, you know?
yeah, nothing matters.
Yeah.
The stakes are so high.
If you expect disappointment, then you can never really get disappointed.
Just shifting back to the podcast again, I think it would be interesting to like note because it's the thing that everyone will ask like in real life if they find out we have a podcast, which is like why? why would you do that?
Yeah.
Usually also like, well, I hate talking about, I love talking about the podcast, but I also hate the first conversation about the podcast. Because usually it will happen, someone will be like, oh, do you know Jack has a podcast about Spider-Man? And I'm like, oh no, I have to have this conversation. I think you enjoy it more than I do. We were at a party once, I think your birthday, before we lived together, and then someone wanted to put it on the speaker, and I have never shut down an idea that hard in my life.
Which I think was the move.
Yeah, that would have been so awful. But anyway,
Jesus Christ. We weren't even that good at it then. We were like basically a month into it.
I mean, the question is like, I mean, a lot of people will be like, oh, I didn't know that there would be a podcast about something as niche as like, just talking about Spider-Man, which, because I'm big into podcasts, I'm like, there's stuff about all kinds of niche things, but like, it's not about Spider-Man. It's specifically about one cartoon.
It's Spider-Man, yeah.
And we almost like, I think early on, you suggested like, oh, we just do a general Spider-Man podcast. And I was like, I think we should be more specific. And even then, we found out soon, I was like, oh, there were actually other podcasts specifically about this.
There were at least two.
And there's even like,
one of them was like super serious. And I'm glad that like we kind of differentiated from that, because I think it's a kind of like a 80s, 90s nostalgia trip where we kind of give these things reverence. But I'm going on record as saying the show does not deserve that reverence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always skeptical about getting too blinded by nostalgia with stuff. I think, I mean, I've never listened to any of the other podcasts because I didn't want it to affect how we did things. Because, I might hear something and be like, oh, damn, I was going to do that, but now I'm not going to do that because I saw that they did it. So, that kind of stuff, it would just get in my head. So I don't even know how serious they are. I just assume they are because it looks like they're more professional.
I think like from my cursory glances, they look like they've had like guests from the show on the podcast.
No, they're never
and like one of them may be like a former comic book writer or artist. So like actual clout, which I think is fun in a way, but also like, I mean, we've kind of touched upon it before, but I think of the two of us, you're definitely the comic book fan. Whereas I was like, I like cartoon good.
Yeah.
And I think the juxtaposition, the kind of contrast makes for a better podcast than like what it would be if we were just like two nerds like yamming off about like all things Spider-Man to the most minute of details,
Yeah, and it's funny how it all lined up when I look back at it, but February 2019 was also when I started a little Twitter account called No Context Spider-Man. And that started because at that point I decided to start, I'd had a long break from reading comics. And I went back, I got the Marvel Unlimited app, and I was like, I'm going to go back and read Spider-Man comics from the start. I'm going to go back to like issue 1 Amazing Spider-Man and read the Stan Lee Ditko comics and just keep going. And then over the course of the podcast, I ended up reading the next like 40 years of comics and being like really comprehensive about it. And it kind of burnt myself out a little bit. At that early stage, I would just see a panel that would be really funny. And I knew that you didn't have the context. So I would send you, or I like Slack at our job, I would like send like a panel over to try and make you laugh or like confuse you and make you go like, wait, what the fuck is happening here? And then after a while, I was like, I actually have too many of these to keep sending them to Henry. So I'm just going to start posting them. And then that Twitter account just kind of like lingered in obscurity with like 5 followers for like 2 or 3 years. And then suddenly like one post blew up. And then, I mean, if you ever someone who I have on every other account, 100 followers or less, and you're like, man, I'd love to have an account with 69,000 followers. I can tell you that like having an account that now has that amount changes nothing about your life.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have made some money if I like responded to one of the bots like saying, hey, do you want to sell this desk lamp? Post like an ad for it below your tweets. And I'm like, fuck no, that's stupid.
Well, don't mislead the public too much because you're sitting right now on top of a throne of gold that you made through having 69,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, that's what happened when Elon Musk took over. He gave everyone a throne of gold.
Yeah, having more than like 5,000 followers.
No, but like that was, I mean, that was like a lot of fun sharing that kind of stuff. And it got me into reading comics more, because then I was like, well, now I want to find the most obscure funny panels to share. So I read more stuff that I wouldn't normally read. Then I come across stuff that I'm like, I need to talk to Henry about this, and like it was the angle of like that was like the weird little bullshit corner, which I mean, early on that was, I remember the Doc Ock Aunt May marriage wedding episode, because initially those first 5 were part of the main episodes. Like each episode,
Every
we
episode
would
was
do
like
one.
2.5 hours long.
Yeah, exactly. And then I very quickly I was like, this is exhausting for me. And
Yeah.
also like it's exhausting to record. We'd be recording after work, and physically I'd go to yours.
You finish it, and you have to basically go home because you were like, it's like 12. I have to be up for work tomorrow.
Yeah, and I haven't had dinner. Like
Yeah.
it was terrible idea the way we were doing it. With the Doc Ock episode, I was writing the notes for it on the bus to your house, and I think at that point I was like, I need to think of a different system for this. And then they became their own episodes, and I think actually like they take a lot more preparation, but like they're like my favorite part of the show probably. I hope people enjoy them as much as the regular animated series episodes, because I just really enjoy hearing your reactions to things, and like getting to like shine a light on some really bizarre stuff that happens that no one really talks about because they're just so weird.
Yeah, I think like in general the show has driven me insane, but I feel like with the weird lore, it's like a level of like we kind of talk about sometimes on the show of me saying something like throw off like something offhandedly sarcastic, and you're like, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that became like the theme of the weird lore.
Hank's Law, as it's now
Yeah.
known. That if you think of a bizarre enough storyline, it's probably happened in a comic.
Yeah.
That was the energy we wanted to bring into the podcast. And also stuff like I listened to a lot of podcasts for a while. I listened to a lot of comedy stuff. I used to listen to like Harmontown and Comedy Bang Bang. I used to watch their Let's Plays of Two Best Friends Play, which then made the podcast Super Best Friend Cast, which is now spiritual successor is Castle Super Beast. I like that dynamic of people talking about their niche interests and shooting the shit. And when people come in knowing like different aspects of things then and getting their reactions, it was just like always funny, and I wanted to capture that. When you listen to podcasts too, whereas I guess like you were the one who got me into listen to We Hate Movies, which has that same sort of an angle of like you can listen to a We Hate Movies episode without knowing the movie they're talking about, and their description of it and the way they make fun of it, whether they like the movie or not, it's just like fun, so you can kind of get something out of it like that.
Yeah.
What was your thinking coming in to like recording, and what were you like trying to do?
I think like we're both similar in that like I think we're just trying to make each other laugh. I think that's the
Yeah.
most important, like the thing that kind of like underpins every episode. Like you say, I think a lot of it just was kind of basically born out of our friendship in like a weird way, in the sense that like, yeah, like I like talking with Jack. Let's put a microphone between us and see what happens, and give ourselves like a topic. Maybe sometimes we stick to that topic, And it was just like, okay, how can I make Jack laugh? And then yeah, like We Hate Movies, I think, kind of gave me a lot to like start my style with, in terms of like
recaps.
Oh, this is what you could potentially do with a podcast. Yeah. And I think like the structure of the recap and having that as a jumping off point was a good place to start with people who didn't know how to podcast, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of helped a lot, especially with like the earlier episodes of just giving us like a rhythm to go with.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we got more experience, I think we got the chance to like branch off and stuff like that. And yeah, like I think now we can be a bit more freeform, a bit more. Sometimes it goes a bit more commode and mayo, I will say.
Oh yeah, that's another big one. That was probably the first podcast I listened to, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know if people listen to it. I don't listen to it anymore. I fell off a long time ago, but I know that like it has some listener base like internationally as well. So early on, like I think the very early episodes, I did the recap as well, and I quickly realized like I couldn't do that.
It was just a lot of you reading things out and a lot of me reacting to things.
Yeah.
And I think like the pacing kind of suffered for it.
Yeah, and it was just a bit more exhausting for me, prep wise.
Yeah.
And then also like another thing that changed is that you like early on I was like, we need to stay fucking on topic. Like, Henry, come on, let's come back. And now you're that guy to me because you're like, I've got to get through this episode and I'm trying to drive the car off the road a little bit.
I think that kind of needs that. The thing that like I enjoy most about it is like the lack of reverence for what we're talking about. And I think like it's kind of needed in the current landscape of like every nerd property is gospel. And it's nice to just like be a bit fucking weird about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, also like, I mean, the whole thing with this stuff is your personal connection to it, and I like making fun of things that I like. You know, like
Yeah, me too.
I also like saying the word "like" because I'm a millennial and it's how I speak.
Yeah, this is unfortunately our curse. As well as like the crushing debt and the boiling planet.
Oh
It's
yeah,
sounding like a Kardashian all the time.
yeah. Every time I say the word "like," I'm thinking about how I don't have the ability to purchase a house.
Yeah. Like the interest on my like several like overdraft accounts is doubling. My brain cells are deteriorating as my like the cells on my back slowly atrophy and I get more and more sciatica. Being 30 is great, guys.
Yeah, no pressure to subscribe to our Patreon or anything.
No pressure to age at the rate you feel is desirable and is comfortable for you.
What are you waiting for? Swing into an awesome Spider-Man adventure Saturday morning on Fox Kids.
The podcast was good for me, like in terms of like, well, I was going to say building confidence. It didn't build confidence. It built confidence in talking specifically like this, because I think in those early ones, like I always liked the idea of doing it. And I'd say this to anyone who thinks that they would like to do one, make a podcast or something. I loved the idea of it. But when it actually came to doing it, I was like really hesitant. And then Henry was the one who just said to me, like, I can't remember how you phrased it even, but like, you were kind of like, why not just do it? You know, like, what have we got to lose, you know?
Mm.
And I think when you start asking these questions, I'm realizing, like, really, I was just like probably scared of putting myself out there on the internet where people are mean. And also, like, even the nice people are like snarky, you know.
Like us.
Case in point, yeah.
Yeah.
Statler and Waldorf. But I was worried about that kind of stuff. And then I like realized I was like, well, what if I just like embarrassed myself on purpose?
Now you see what I do every time I go on there.
Every time you leave the house.
You're like, yeah, let me make sure that my pants are kind of done up and let's just go for it. But no, I feel like, yeah.
People can't point at you and laugh because your pants are falling down if you drop them yourself.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe that's not good advice.
I kind of disagree. You know, I think like at any given opportunity, whenever you feel like socially threatened, I suggest pulling your pants down.
I was thinking specifically.
Yeah. You've got like an awkward silence on a date, pull your pants down.
Oh god,
Is that job interview going not exactly like you like? Pull your pants down.
I was thinking of like the boing sound effect and like Grandpa Simpson's pants falling in the Hellfish episode.
Yeah.
It's like, can't you go like more than 1 minute without embarrassing yourself and his pants fall down? And he's got like the love hearts on his trunks. Yeah, I was thinking that.
And he's like, how long is that?
But when you say dropping your pants, like now I think people are going to be out there like actually like exposing themselves in public and getting arrested and traumatizing strangers. So
just keep in mind when I say pants, I mean your trousers. Keep your underwear on.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
That's how I'm legally like protecting myself.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you might still get arrested, but it will be less haunting to onlookers.
And like most of my advice, don't perform my advice in a playground
or anywhere really. Let's be honest.
The only place you can't do it is when you're in like a doctor's office and you're getting like a really awkward exam. In that place, pull your pants up.
As far as they go.
As far as they go.
Oh, Simpson, can't you go 5 seconds without humiliating yourself?
How long was that?
This occurred to me when I was like making notes for this. That I was like, I think the only point in this show, like when this podcast, when I wanted to stop, was the Rhino episode from season 1. Do you remember this?
How can I forget this?
Can't remember if we like put a warning on the episode or something, but like we recorded like an hour and a half, and I think at that point that was maybe the episode we got into the groove and we started enjoying it more. And you made me laugh a lot in the episode. I was like, "What a great episode!" And you finished the recording, and the whole screen filled up with error messages and exclamation points, and it dropped audio, pockets of audio throughout the episode, and we basically kind of like lost it, and then did the insane thing of like, well, we're missing like a word here or like a sentence here, so that's just the ones that we lost and we don't know what we said, whatever. But then the ones where it's mid-sentence and we know what we said, let's just re-record like Henry saying like 4 words, and then I'll cut it in later. And somehow that episode was publishable.
I think that's one of the more popular ones, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, it was so weird. Yeah, I think
that
that
was
was
the point where we
entire.
had, like,
You know,
yeah.
that's that. I think that was because the episode icon image, which I don't know if depends on the podcast player you're using, because not all of them show the episode image, but like it does on, like, for instance, Spotify it will do.
Yeah.
But like the episode image for that is just Rhino's big ass.
Yeah, you can see into his little pixelated anus. It's ridiculous.
Oh god. Okay, well now people aren't going to look at it.
It's not actually like a view of like the cartoon anus. Sorry, guys.
There is no anus on the suit, which is a question, really, because he
A
can't take it
design
off,
for
right?
anything. Yeah. Like, where is it going? Because that's
Yeah.
like, there's no room for it to go if there's no hole.
Yeah. We'll have to come back to that one next Rhino appearance.
Do you think it's not like his ass is big? It's just like a filled diaper. It's just
And we've had enough diaper talk this season. And we know the next episode there's probably going to be some kind of diaper
I actually know what
incident.
this is in the next episode. Like, I won't talk about it just yet, but I know what's in the next episode.
That's a good thing to point out as well for anyone who doesn't know. We watched the show when we were kids. We were a bit too young when it first aired, or at least when the first episode aired.
I think one of us would have been born by that point. The other one wouldn't have.
I think
Maybe we both would have been born.
I think we were both born. Weird sense. I think we were both babies, maybe a few months old or something. But
I think we would have gone to gone to school with the show. We were in the same class or the year above the show. Is how I'll put it.
yeah, we got a bunch of stuff late as well. If you didn't have like, I didn't have Sky or anything like that when I was growing up. You know, I had like 5 channels on TV, which sounds bizarre now. Like, what's a channel?
What's the TV?
Is that where my YouTube is?
Yeah.
They would reruns by my animated series on like I think ITV, CITV on Saturday mornings. And I remember like we watched up I watched up to a certain point, and then they must have like lost the rights to show it or something because there was a cliffhanger that like I never got resolved, whatever. I think I came back to it later when I was like a teenager and caught a couple of episodes when YouTube was in its early days and you could just upload an entire show and no one would notice.
Yeah.
I have like memories of it, but I don't remember it. I remember it better than I thought I would remember it, but we don't necessarily know what's ahead. We haven't like watched the whole show and now we're talking about it. We'll watch an episode.
Experiencing it for the second time, basically, for the first time in a while, but we're experiencing it as close as you can get to like in real time.
Yeah. So we watch an episode and then we talk about it, and then we won't watch the next episode until we've got a recording planned, which is a weird situation to be in because then, like, I think having a podcast about this, maybe people would think that we know it in and out or something, and then someone DMs me on our Instagram or something and says like, ask a specific question or comment about something, and I'll be like, I don't know what they're talking about.
I kind of don't remember. Sorry.
Too old!
We asked listeners for some questions. We got some on like Discord and from Twitter. And the first one is from the goddamn milkman.
Oh, man. I'm sorry about all the milk that I've forgotten to pay for.
It'd be great if this was literally your milkman.
Actually, no, it's not.
And if you wanted like date me specifically, I am old enough to remember having a milkman.
Yeah, we're both old enough to have. Yeah, like some guy would come to your house and just drop off milk.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy in a bowl, a glass bowl.
Glass bottle, just full of milk.
It was a magical world. You didn't even know where it came from. You didn't know it came from a horrible industry that
Yeah.
harms and tortures animals, but
But then again, like, that's most industries.
yeah.
Some of
But
them don't even need to.
yeah, it was just like, oh my god, this cow gave me this milk. What a
Yeah.
lovely, wholesome
This cow sent
planet.
me milk in the post, you know?
Yeah, his friend gave it to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, Goddamn Milkman, who actually he has a podcast with the same name, which he shared in our Discord recently.
Oh, cool. I should check that Discord more often.
Yeah, Henry and listeners, if you want to check out the Discord,
Yeah.
the
We have
link
a
will be
Discord?
the link will be in the description of this episode. But he shared his podcast there; you can check that out. But his question is, what parts of the show feel the most dated to you now?
The show's actually like aged pretty well, I would say, especially
Yeah,
in light of like the saturation of Spider-Man content and lots of it being not very good.
Mhm.
I think the most of the shows like aged pretty well. I think the writing I will say is pretty good as well. And like John Silver Jr., like I know I make fun of him a lot on the podcast, but I think he's generally good at what he does, and I think he gives a lot of the podcast, the show rather. But what I will say is there's points where like Spider-Man comes across a bit insilly, just because like we didn't have like a term for it back then.
right. Yeah.
And
I
also like some of like the
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like for some reason Peter Parker does, but like not so much Spider-Man.
okay, yeah, sorry. When I say Spider-Man, I mean Peter Parker usually most
No,
of the
I mean
time.
I'm not saying that to correct you because obviously they're the same person. But like,
Yeah. Wait,
I
what?
just mean, I was sorry to bring that to you.
Peter Parker's Spider-Man? That nerd is Spider-Man? The whole time of
It was a show
Ah,
about two different guys.
yeah. Okay. You learn something new every day. But he works in the Bugle. He takes pictures of Spider-Man. How could he also be Spider-Man?
Yeah, isn't it unethical? But
Isn't
no,
that legal?
isn't that corrupt? Isn't that betraying the public's trust? That actually works really well. Might have to make that into a meme afterwards.
Yeah.
Shout out to Neil Breen. But no, it does, but also for the 90s, there's some stuff like where I would expect it to be like more sexist than it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like some of that Black Cat stuff, I was waiting for it to trip over itself. But like the worst it does really is that like Spider-Man acts like a bit of a
He gets a little horny.
yeah, he gets a bit possessive and weird, but then he kind of tends to learn from it. And you got like the Hydro Man episode where like Hydro Man's explicitly the bad guy because he's a creepy ex-boyfriend,
Yeah.
and they don't sympathize with him like at all in that episode. And Mary Jane is like the hero of that story. I think sometimes I guess they're a bit like, you know, a bit blunt with their like girl power stuff. Like they're not like it's not like an organic thing. But then
But it also feels less nakedly cynical than it would do now.
that's what I was gonna say. Is it's that same thing of like, you know, that endgame shot of all the female superheroes, and it's like they're patting themselves on the back for it. But you're like, these characters have no agency in this movie. None of them have spoken to each other before. And in this specific shot, it's just them standing next to each other looking cool. And then they go back to not having a place in the story, really.
I'm pretty sure they didn't consent to being in that scene in the plot of the movie.
But they probably weren't in the same shot. They were probably filmed in different countries on different green screens. And
No, I mean the characters. Like they
Oh.
didn't even consent to being there. They were just like zapped through a portal and they were like, "Girl power, I guess." In the context of what is happening, yeah.
Okoye is just like, I don't know where I am. I think I was just dead. But also, I guess I'll punch this alien. What is happening?
Girl power. In the time that I died, it made me think a lot about girl power.
I just want to like reiterate because I don't want people to get sidetracked by that. Because I have done with podcasts and stuff before when you don't know the context or the tone of stuff. But like, we like want these women to have stuff to do in the story. You know, we are feminists and we do want that disparity to be addressed. But it's very frustrating when you've got like big corporations like Disney that behind the scenes are not giving women opportunities and are fucking them over. And then on screen, not giving them proper characters, not like fully like realized female characters a lot of the time. But we are going to just like kind of like place them in scenes so that we can say we did something, you know?
Yeah. We can tell they don't care. I think that's what it is. You can tell they're not putting any thought to this. There's
Right.
like a load of like studio execs going like, wouldn't it be cool for like the female demographic to have these women's characters together?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing. The big problem with it is you can't you can feel like the corporate synergy in the scene.
Yeah, and then people complain about like stuff being Marvel is woke now or something. And it's like the problem isn't that they're having better representation; it's that they're doing representation badly.
Yeah,
know?
like if you were doing it well, you wouldn't notice. What we're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, like there's also things which are like there are lots of great female-led properties, and the female-led part of it is like just a part of it. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it's also like given its due and it's made natural, organic, and someone
Mhm.
really thought about it and cared about making it work.
Yeah,
And you can tell when they don't care,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. But I mean, to get back to the cartoon, like I think that there's less of that like cynicism, but like yeah, it's a bit blunt, but it's also a 1994 animation made predominantly for kids, so you're not like expecting it to be on the cutting edge of anything,
Yeah. I
I
think
mean,
that that's a big part of it is it just feels very earnest in a
yeah,
way that they don't feel earnest now, especially in this kind of sphere where people are just we make fun of it, but like this show like doesn't care that you're making fun of it. It's trying to do a thing and it's doing that thing and it doesn't care if it looks silly.
yeah, it's very sincere, and that kind of goes into like the more absurd parts as well. Like sometimes when a show is like on a technical level, I'm like, maybe this is bad or this is like silly, but is like ends up being like really funny because of it, or or charming, you know. And that goes for the CGI, which I think that is my answer to the question. I think that is the most dated part is the CGI.
It's like eye bleedingly bad.
Yeah, like Lawnmower Man shit, but like it's so like strange and it's so dated now that it's almost like a weird art style,
Yeah.
Like even though at the time it's like they were doing the best they could, you compare it now and you watch like fucking Quantumania or something, that looks so much worse.
Somehow, even though they've had like 30 years to get it better.
Yeah, and I kind of like
They
so I
spent
kind
like
of
£200 million to do it.
yeah, so I kind of like the weird blocky like CG, especially when they overuse it, like when they do like a big sweeping shot of the
Yeah.
city and you see like the ferry or something, and you're like, this is too much for the tech you had, but it's still like
Yeah.
really fun to see.
Yeah.
I think all the outdated stuff, but it kind of works in its favor a lot of the time.
Maybe I should reevaluate some of my male chauvinist preconceptions.
I mean, is there anything about the show that like disappointed you, or like things that like surprised you?
I think I was actually surprised with the quality of it because I think
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of stuff I liked when I was like 11 that I'm like, oh, I was a stupid 11-year-old. Why did I
Yeah.
like this? And I think, but I think the show was better than I was expecting it to be. I think there are points where it's well written. There are points where like you can tell, okay, someone's thought about this and someone's made something that works. There's a point I think in season 1 where they're talking about like Peter being taken over by the symbiote. And there's a little like dream sequence that happens where I was like, this is genuinely great. This is genuinely like a cool thing to happen in a show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made for stupid kids, but it's also made for their parents who are a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
And I think that's a start that impressed me about the show. And yeah, like they managed to like bring lots of things in and kind of make a coherent Spider-Man story that makes sense and feels like a lived-in world. And I kind of think there's a luxury that we take for granted in today's landscape. I don't think we're going to get it again, actually, to be completely cynical about it.
Yeah, yeah. We're definitely not getting that pace again. Like, I think they were very like keen on like every episode has to work on its own, and they do have that to be continued. But it was
But
like
TV continues are pretty terrible sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. Some of them are like, oh no, Spider-Man's fallen to his death. Oh no, he
Right.
just swung out because that's his power. That's what he does.
Yeah, I think the show is like too rushed sometimes, but don't. Sorry, the show is too rushed all the time. But like
Yeah.
I remember we had a comment on TikTok where like the posted a clip from it, and like someone was like, they said something like this. It has like ADHD pacing,
Yeah.
and I was like, it is like, but it's almost like it's too much for me. Like I like sometimes I'm like I need to like go back. Sometimes you say stuff in the recap, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that didn't happen, and I go back and look, and I'm like, that did happen. I just completely missed it.
Yeah, this is too much to process.
But part of that, I think, adds to it just because like such absurd stuff happens in the show that it might get unwieldy, but then you go back and it's always like comes back to Spider-Man, who I think like, Peter Parker in the show is kind of like early Steve Ditko Spider-Man, like you said, a bit that incel energy, a bit like
A bit of a whiny ass bitch.
yeah, he's just complaining about how bad the world is for him, and sometimes it is bad for him, but sometimes it's also just like normal stuff.
Yeah.
He gets a bit woe is me, but then when he's Spider-Man, it's so much better because like he becomes like really ironic, and it makes all these strange things that happen so much more entertaining because this bizarre stuff will happen and then it just cuts to his reaction, and it's always kind of this kind of like why me sort of energy.
Yeah.
But like it's got this like wry charm to it that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And Christopher Daniel Barnes, like the voice actor, is just like, I mean, people like make fun of him for the shocker, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth, which is like crazy overacting, but like he goes for it, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the commitment.
He's not afraid of overcommitting.
Get back here, Shocker! Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth! Hey, what are you... What good are those blasters to you now?
And there's so much like personality to his voice that I like really enjoy. And I think like in general, like that kind of energy to it makes the episodes, which it's rare that we get an episode where I come away and I'm like, that was bad, full stop. A lot of the time it's like what we call our cheese nightmares, where it's just like complete like structureless, like there's no bread to this pizza, it's just a bunch of random stuff, but it's kind of like enjoyable. Sometimes it's not a meal.
You can eat with a spoon. Yeah.
It's not a meal, but like it like makes your brain happy.
Yeah. And the ones that are just generally bad, a lot of the time, the only problem with them is that they just happen to have Morbius in them.
Yeah, that was an issue. And
you talking about things that disappointed me. I didn't realize there were that many episodes with Morbius. I didn't realize they went on for so long, and they were all in sequence. It was just like this is just like hamstring the show.
Folks, it can only be Spider-Man, the wanted criminal himself.
That's Morbius.
So I guess it's like a 60-40 split. Maybe, I don't know what the proportions are of like animated series to comics on this podcast.
Yeah.
But like obviously the comics, like I've made you read a couple of comics for the podcast, some on our Patreon, some on the main feed, but you're still, I guess you'd be categorized as a non-reader of comics.
I would say, yeah, like I'm not an enthusiast. I'm like, I've dabbled, I've read a few, but I haven't like of my own volition decided to read comic books. I think in my life, beyond the podcast, I think I've read Watchmen, I've read Kick-Ass, the first volume, and I bought a Deadpool book that I have to start, and I also have a Spider-Punk book that I also have to start. I'm not very good with starting things, to be honest. It's my weird brain, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Also, like comics is like I stopped reading stuff for like a while, and then I started getting into reading stuff again lately. I kind of got burnt out on reading Spider-Man stuff because the current volume, as everyone on the internet is talking about incessantly, is like not great. But also, I don't really like the general way the comics have been going for like 20 years, really. So
I think it's like probably that thing of like they're not letting him like be a person. They're like gotta put him out in high school for some reason because that's what people want, even though no one has said they want that.
They very much gotta like reset his personality a lot. He can't like really grow, and he had a lot of growth in the 90s and early 2000s. In the early 2000s, there's the John Romita Jr., J. Michael Straczynski run of it, which I love. I've talked about on the show before, but like those were the first like proper Spider-Man comics I got into when I was younger, and they feature a Spider-Man like Peter Parker who goes and teaches at like an inner city school, and he's just a science teacher, high school science teacher, and I think that's like a really perfect place for him to get to as an adult when he's still like, I think at that point he's like, in his mid to late 20s, but then they eventually have to reset, and then he's back to like being a photographer, or maybe he's not a photographer, but he's like, in between jobs, and he's like trying to get his life to work, and very early 20s stuff. Well, although saying that, that's kind of us as well.
To be fair, I guess like there's been a time back then. Has there been an episode? Has there been a run yet where it turns into like Billy Madison and he has to like go back to like preschool in order to get his diploma?
There's a general regression there, which is not so fun for me to read. So I started like more recently, I'm like reading other stuff. I'm like, I would like check out some Fantastic Four, been reading the Immortal Hulk, which is amazing. You know, just like branching out a little bit from my tiny niche. But as a non-comic reader, I'm just wondering, does this podcast like make you like less likely to read comics? You know, I mean, obviously you've got your own processes that will like and your life stuff which might get in the way of you getting around to reading anyway, but in terms of your desire to read them, does me telling you all these insane things about them make them sound like something that you don't even want to touch?
I would say yes, but I also would say that it makes me more likely to be a comic book writer.
Right.
I might naturally accidentally just like, oh yeah, this is what a comic book writer would do.
Yeah.
You know, I can see the plot twists. I can be like, I can imagine sitting in like Marvel headquarters and being like, "How should we change this plot, sir?" And I would be like, "Oh yeah, why don't you have like the robots cure her cancer?"
Yeah, I think you're very much like probably a good mix of like you have all these insane like fuck it ideas, but if it was your job, you know, if you had some contract and you actually had to put out a story and you would be judged by it and your name would be on it, you would probably be like, okay, I'm going to put some good storytelling in this and take it a little bit seriously, as well as still including the insane stuff. I mean, that's kind of like what, like, I think one of my favorite modern writers on Spider-Man would have been Chip Zdarsky. He did this volume of Spectacular Spider-Man, which has all this stuff that I don't want near Spider-Man, which is alternate universes, time travel, end of the world stakes, you know? All this stuff that I'm like, Spider-Man doesn't need this. But he found a way to like ground that in a really interesting, like core story about like who Peter Parker is. There's still ways to do it, but like, yeah, I mean, it's in general, this is kind of more of an outlier these days.
I mean, like, if Chip Zdarsky's listening to this, maybe call me up and give me a job because I will do it. I need the work.
First of all, if that's ever to happen, which I highly doubt, I'd like to push Henry over and get in first place.
Yeah.
Also, Chip Zdarsky's Canadian, I think, and so I'm closer.
No, by time, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm in the country that ruled over his country, colonized his country. So.
Oh, Jesus. Let's don't go that route.
I mean, colonialism is always in the cards. It's just a question of whether or not you take that card. It's like every time you do this podcast, I'm on like a D20. And if I get above like a 17, I talk about colonialism.
Yeah. I'm just like wondering which of your distant ancestor relatives would either hate you for saying this or would be saying the same thing.
Knowing my ancestry, it'd probably be like a 50-50 split.
So should we jump into some listener questions?
Let's jump right in. Let's see. Well, I'm stunned these people actually responded because I was under the impression that like our listeners were like kind of like silently judging us the whole way through, and given the chance, they would be like, actually, no, I don't want to hear from these people. Mm-hmm. They seem like nightmares in real life. And that's actually the people who know us in real life as well.
I think I'd always think like if we're calling a listener base that are similar to us, is there anything like me? They'd be so anxious that they would type out an entire email and then they would delete the email or leave it in their drafts and never send it because they'd be like, no, I sound stupid.
Also, but like to those people, I would again reiterate, don't worry about sounding stupid because look at me. You cannot write anything as stupid as anything that spills out of my mouth any given moment in time.
Like saying look at me in an audio medium.
Like figuratively look at me. Use your figurative eyes.
Yeah, and that's me being stupid because I'm not being figurative.
Yeah.
Anyway, listener question. First one, we got a couple from Twitter.
Okay.
The hellscape formerly known as Twitter. Brian says, when are you going to do an episode on the ride at Universal Studios?
Okay, Brian. To which I respond, when are you going to pay for us to go to Universal Studios?
Yeah, Brian, please pay for us to do that. That would be great.
But the only thing, Brian, is that you should know is that I get really anxious on rides, so I probably don't go on the ride, but please take me to Universal Studios anyway.
We've never had this conversation. Do you like, well, we probably have, but if we have, I've forgotten it. Are you scared of roller coasters and
Hate
stuff like
roller
that?
coasters.
Oh,
They'll be
damn.
nauseous and sick and anxious, and I would much rather watch Morbius again.
What about a kid-friendly on-rail sort of ride?
I'd be open to it. As long as I can fit in the seats, because that would be another kind of nightmare if I got like stuck in a teacup at Universal Studios.
Have you ever had the chance to go to Universal Studios?
When I was very young and I had an auntie who lived in Orlando, yes.
Right, so did you go on the Spider-Man ride then?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, okay.
I think my fear of roller coasters probably predated even that.
Because I went on the ride when I was 7. Yeah, I went to Universal Studios that one time, and I was 7 years old. If I can track it down, there's a photo of me standing outside it. I loved that ride, but like remembering it now is like a weird dream. I looked it up when I saw this question. I'm surprised it's still operating, like seemingly unchanged, because that also has like a bunch of like weird CG in it, I think. Like, I mean, it's like, there's a screen and a bunch of stuff happening, and then you're on a little on rails thing going inside.
Yeah.
So your motion sickness would probably be fine with it. I don't think it's that extreme, but
Okay.
I actually can't remember it at all. And I could probably find, there's probably a video of it online that I could track down, which I'm curious about because I don't know when I'm going to next be in Universal Studios. It's kind of a big ordeal,
Unless Brian pays for us to go.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. I mean,
oh yeah. By the way, Brian, I live in London, so you have to pay for the plane ticket as well, and
yeah.
Pay for me to be off work for a little while. Just really whatever you can. Really, we have to go business class, obviously, because it's a business for us.
The second question comes from Adam, who says, "How handsome is the wall?" Which sounds like a great diss that I'm too stupid to understand. And that's kind of why I expect from Twitter is like anything coming at me is going to be some kind of like insult, whether it's an ally or an enemy. But I think he's talking about the one-off villain from Spidey Super Stories who made an appearance on No Context Spider-Man. Because Spidey Super Stories, the series that gave us Webman from our first Weird Little Bullshit episode.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of weird bullshit in that.
Not all of it lore.
No, I don't think any of it's canon.
Yeah.
I could make an argument that it is canon, but it would be a bullshit argument and not in good faith. But this guy is basically a wall with legs and a face. And I had a look at him, and he's kind of like an ugly motherfucker. So that's my answer.
I was going to say, yeah, like the wall, I don't think it's very attractive, but I'm assuming once you get to know him, his inner beauty comes out and you start to really see all his face and his character for what it really is, and it's about what the beauty of the inside of the wall rather than what's on the outside of the wall.
I should note, though, that, Spidey Super Stories had that thing where, like, there was the Electric Company TV show where they did, like, the live skits, and they would do the comics were kind of, like, based off the live skits, I think, or vice versa, I can't remember. So the wall, there's a live-action meeting of Spider-Man and the wall. So a guy dressed up as a wall, and I'm pretty sure that guy's wearing like shoe polish on his face.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I don't know if that.
I wasn't
changes.
expecting blackface to come up on this show, but I've learned to expect the unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, how handsome is the wall? The question I have to ask is how close do I have to go up to his face? Because I imagine like his colors will run a bit.
He will soon be up against the wall, a normal happy high school student, until an incredible blunder during a chemistry experiment turned him into a wall. And now he's out to spoil everything, including Spidey's day off.
Well, if it isn't the wall-crawling creep. Here's one wall you'll never crawl, you red and blue buffoon! He's so dumb, he's trying to eat a hot dog with no mouth!
Next question comes from the aforementioned Gene, and he says, what would you have wanted in another season of Spider-Man the Animated Series if it got renewed? And I think you could take this two different ways, right? You could say, like, if it got renewed in, like, 97, whenever
like, as it was getting cancelled.
Yeah. If it
the
got
Community, basically, and moved to, like, Sony Studios.
Yeah, if it was on fucking, like, Yahoo.
NBC. Yahoo. Fucking Yahoo. Or it could mean, like, if it got renewed today.
Yeah, like the X-Men series is coming back. So I think there's two
Okay.
different answers for that.
Okay, let me answer the second one first. If it got renewed today, the only thing I would want in another season is for that season to be immediately cancelled, or for Disney to be taken over by David Zaslav.
Do you remember how this show ends? Because it's been a while since we talked about it.
All I remember is him meeting Stanley in like
Mm.
cartoon form, and that was about it. So I'm assuming weirdly.
Well, you know it ends on a cliffhanger.
What?
You actually don't know that.
I didn't know that. No.
Well, that's
Don't
a
tell me
big-
what the cliffhanger is.
Okay, I won't tell you. But like, that's part of like why people want it renewed because it didn't technically get finished. But I think they should end it with another cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And then cancel it. But no, I think if they brought it back now, I wouldn't want that, to be honest, because like I think if anything deserves like a continuation, it's Spectacular Spider-Man, which was telling a long form story and got cancelled too soon and had plenty left to do. We got 5 seasons of this. They did cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like a lot of weird shit that you wouldn't expect in lots of Spider-Man stories.
And also,
and I also think like, sorry, what you can say?
It would also, I think it would lose part of the charm. I think part of like the fact that it's
That was
like
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, in the mid 90s, that specific era of animation, that kind of very specific kind of sometimes hokey storytelling is like part of why I like it. And if it came back now and it was like, all digital animation and like they like made the episodes a bit longer or they would change things about it, and I don't know how well it would work. I would still watch it, I'd still like be curious, but now like enough of this stuff has happened that I'm wary of the monkey paw,
Yeah. I think like it would be symptomatic of the reason that like all of these modern day revivals have not worked, in that you can't judge something from that era in modern day standards because obviously it won't live up.
Hmm.
You think about like, let's say for as a random example, Ghostbusters. Like there's a reason the one in 1984 works, and you try and make the same movie in 2023, you're either gonna make a bad movie because you haven't understood the source material, or you're too faithful to the source material and it doesn't work in a modern context.
Yeah.
There's a reason that like these things end and new things come up, is because we have to evolve as a media consuming society. And I'm going around here. I can see Jack like giving me a bit of a look, and I'm going to ignore that look. And I'm gonna.
I'm not trying to give you a look. Your resting bitch face syndrome.
But no, but my point being that like we got 5 seasons of a show that was like as close to perfect as it was going to be, and I think every time we air a new episode of this new season, it would probably be gambling with what we've already got out of it, and I don't think it would add anything to it in this moment in time. Like, I mean, like, let's see when the X-Men series comes out. I might be proven wrong.
Yeah.
But I think people are going to lose interest in that super fast because I guess X-Men is different because they haven't had like a cartoon in a while, and the properties have sort of lost their way in a way that Spider-Man maybe hasn't.
Yeah.
But I think with Spider-Man, there's just so much Spider-Man content. The standards are super high. And I think Spider-Man means something different today than he did like 30 years ago.
You're explaining exactly, like, you're just reminding me so much of Twin Peaks The Return. As anything will make me think of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But, like, Twin Peaks The Return has, like, that energy of, like, oh, this is what you wanted? Well, you can't have that show because that is physically impossible for us to capture the specific environment that made this show. So here's this weird, corrupt version of the thing that you loved, and it's better for it. But, like, I don't think Disney would allow something that insane to happen.
I mean, they made the Dial of Destiny, didn't they? Okay, well, that turned out.
The other side of the question is, like, if they renewed it at the time and it just continued for a season straight after, I would have liked to have seen that, and I would have just had them go crazier, because I think this is a show that would actually benefit from like jumping around universes and going back in time and all kinds of insane stuff going on. Like the old like Marvel team up comics just have like bonkers stuff happen. Because like I said, like the crazy stuff happening to this specific Spider-Man is very funny because of his reactions, his like sardonic sort of like vibe to him.
I'm half joking, but I want to say Kraven's Last Hunt. That's what I want to see a Spider-Man
Man.
animated series.
This Craven.
I want to
This
see,
Craven.
yeah, just like taking a shotgun to the face.
He takes a shotgun to the head whilst his cat lady wife watches.
Yeah, she with the Courtney Love situation. Everyone thinks that the cat that she killed him.
That matches up weirdly well.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Discord from Spider-Man. Name your ideal Sinister Six.
Okay, so I think we're both in agreement that Dr. Octopus has to be like at the forefront of this bitch.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Doc Ock show, to be honest. You know,
I feel like without him, everyone else is too stupid.
Yeah, he's got the plan, but he's also got to be there to be annoyed by people not following the plan.
Yeah. It's like in the Avengers, if like Nick Fury isn't there, it's just a disparate group of like angry people. Yeah, so I would say the Sinister Six, you start with Dr. Octopus. I think a good Shocker is there because he's kind of like low stakes and he's there to like knock Spider-Man around, but he's not really a threat. Scorpion, I would say.
Yeah.
Rhino. I think Kraven should be part of that, though I can see them getting really pissed off with Kraven, but I think Kraven should be there.
Yeah.
And how many is that?
I was not counting.
Okay, so Spider-Man, so Dr. Octopus, Shocker, Rhino, Scorpion, and what else did I say? Oh, I think Sandman should be in there. Kraven.
Yeah.
Okay, and Sandman. And then honorable mention, if Hydra Man's like not doing anything, which is most of the time, maybe like an extra Hydra Man.
I don't think he's busy.
He's waiting by the phone.
Yeah, so I think the OG lineup in a comic, which is Doc Ock, Electro, Kraven, Mysterio, Vulture, and Sandman, I think that's pretty perfect, to be honest. There's a comic in the 90s where it's kind of confusing because it's like Mysterio and Kraven are in it, but it's like the second Mysterio and the second Kraven.
Ugh.
They bring in Venom, which normally I wouldn't like, but in that story it's great because he's the wild card. They have a pretty good plan down and he ruins everything.
He fucks shit up. Oh, look in the MCU.
Yeah, so I think like he's that's kind of a fun vibe too. If I had to substitute anyone out of it, I would get rid of Kraven just because I love Kraven, but like I don't necessarily think it makes much sense for his character to want to work alongside other people.
To be honest, it doesn't make sense for other people to want to work alongside him.
That's also true, especially if it's the comic version where he just like has slightly heightened abilities, you know?
He's basically doing like a really, really wired Ace Ventura.
And you can easily throw in Scorpion because it's another animal guy and someone whose only real antagonist is Spider-Man and who wants to get revenge on him and has been fucked up by Spider-Man plenty. So I guess I'd probably switch those two around. Next question comes from Carawan on Discord as well. They said, if you were a Spider-Man villain, so probably animal themed, what would your villain name and plan be? How would you finally defeat the web slinger?
That's a good question.
Do you want me to answer while you think of yours?
No, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to think about it on the way. So the first question I have would be like, I'm guessing it doesn't exist in like the. I just love a stupid joke. But,
you're going to think of a stupid joke and it's going to be real.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to make a Spider-Man called the Bear. Right? And he's
a chef.
Like, he's gonna work at he's a chef. He's like he works in a restaurant. And basically, like for some reason the restaurant has its funding cut, and the only way to get the funding he needs for the restaurant is just with a giant bear costume.
Okay, cool. And what's your
so he's not trying to defeat Spider-Man, he's just trying to get his restaurant off the ground.
Right.
While dealing with the consequences of his brother's suicide. It's actually kind of sad.
And what's your plan?
Well, he's got to rub banks with like various kitchen utensils, and when Spider-Man comes across, he's gonna throw hot oil at him.
Okay, you're almost on something.
You're kidding me.
There is someone. He's not called the Bear, but there is a guy who wears a bear costume and fights Spider-Man. I think he debuted in a Spider-Man comic. And separately, I have seen a comic where someone throws hot soup at Spider-Man It wasn't oil, but it was soup.
Okay.
There's Hank's Law in action.
God damn it.
My answer is the golden retriever. I guess be my name and what I'd be. Partly because I have blonde hair. I have golden retriever colored hair. Also, speaking of like natural enemies, I have seen a golden retriever eat a spider in real life because dogs are stupid and very weird, and sometimes they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Before you can stop them. And I would defeat Spider-Man. I'd lie on my back. I'd show my pink belly. I look exactly like a dog, by the way. It's like Master of Disguise, you know?
I was going to say, like, fucking The Shining.
No. Why, like blow a dude? What are you talking about?
Oh, that kind of look, as like a guy in a dog costume.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Well,
you blow, dude, if you want. If you defeat Spider-Man, maybe that's how you defeat him.
I think that's going to be closer to what you look like in your bear costume, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I would look exactly like a real dog. Like in...
So don't bring up Master of Disguise because no one's seen that movie.
I'm gonna keep bringing it up, but no, I would lie on my back, and Spider-Man come over to like stroke my belly, and then I take out a gun and shoot him, and that's my plan.
Okay, where are you hiding the gun?
That's personal.
That's for you to know and Spider-Man to find out.
Next question is: say you were hired by Marvel Disney to ruin the final Spider-Verse movie, how would you do it? Here's a question. Have you actually watched the new Spider-Verse movie yet?
No.
Okay. Well, that needs to be corrected and we'll podcast about it.
Sure.
But you could either try and guess this or you could do an alternate version and do the same question but for the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie.
I'm not sure if... I think... So for the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, I would actually do nothing because that movie's going to ruin itself. I don't think I need to do anything.
For Tom Holland, I say he fights the Sony 6, which will be Morbius, Michael Keaton, our boy ATJ, Venom, El Muerto, and Paul Giamatti.
Avi Arad. I was going to say Avi Arad.
Okay.
Avi just gets behind the camera and he just starts fighting Tom Holland.
Well, I guess El Muerto got cancelled, so Avi Arad can take that spot, and yeah, that's who he fights.
Yeah,
and he's killed in the first scene, and then it's like 144 minutes of the rest of them hanging out.
What, Spider-Man or Avi Arad?
Spider-Man dies, yeah.
Okay, but Avi Arad's still in the movie.
Wait, what are you talking? Spider-Man cannot be present in a Spider-Man universe movie made by Sony.
Okay, so yeah, Avi Arad is there, he's hanging out there just eating shawarma for 144 minutes. Post-credit scene from the Avengers, but just like 100 times longer than it needs to be.
So my answer for the Spider-Verse one is, real answer is underpay and overwork your VFX crew to leave a bit
So again,
taste.
you do nothing.
Yeah, do nothing, yeah. Keep the same working conditions so that even the people who enjoy the movie feel weird about enjoying it.
What you can do is you can hire more studio executives.
Yeah, give them a pay raise. Make Avi Arad's name in the credits bigger.
It should be called Avi Arad's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just like piss on the grave of Stan Lee entirely.
To give an answer closer to what they're probably asking for, I think just because you're doing multiverse, bring in the games and the live action movies more and jam them in as much as possible. And remind everyone that even the good movies technically like corporate synergy, brand management also, and selling toys and stuff. So I mean,
didn't we already do that for No Way Home? That's what No Way Home was.
Yeah, exactly. Do on this because like Diego pointed out that like No Way Home is an adaptation of Spider-Verse because they're just trying to do Spider-Verse live action.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my answer would be for them to adapt No Way Home into the next Spider-Verse movie. That would be the way to ruin it.
Or what they could do is they could do like a Space Jam thing where they bring like the actual Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield into the animated universe.
Yeah.
I mean, that has a winning basketball game as well.
It's yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the end of our questions. Before we get to just to wrap up, actually, Remember to follow us on Instagram. We post like images from the show and like the comics and stuff, memes, that kind of thing. Blue Sky is where we're at. It's like the Twitter replacement, which is still semi-active now and then. Threads, we have an account. I don't know if I'm ever going to post there. Apparently, we have like 1,000 followers on Facebook, but I have not looked at that in. I looked at it for the first time the other day, and it's been like genuinely years. Do you just turn your fucking camera off?
I meant to hit Command T, but I hit Command R instead.
Oh, right. I thought you were making a point.
You have 1,000 followers. Oh,
yeah,
God.
Apparently.
It's on Facebook.
I have not been on Facebook personally for, since like 2017 or something. So that was Henry's thing. But plans to upload some more stuff on YouTube. I want to get back to putting these episodes on there as well. I just need to finish editing some stuff. We also had some bullshit with Made for Kids. We had that edit that some people who jumped on the podcast have jumped on it because of watching the edit, I think. We had this Norman Osborn's completely normal dinner party edit that I made that did pretty well. But it did well enough that YouTube noticed it and marked it as Made for Kids, which I get because literally the show is made for kids. But the issue of Made for Kids is there's no comments on Made for Kids. And the appeal process is you press appeal and then you get an email from YouTube and they say, we have rejected your appeal and you cannot appeal it again. So we had a lot of comments on that and they were very funny. I only noticed the video was changed to Made for Kids because of comments on other videos. People were like, can you put the comments back because they were really funny? But no, they're gone. And as far as I can tell, they cannot be put back and I can't view them in any way, like even like in YouTube Studio or whatever. So
oh wow,
they're just gone forever. It's just stupid bullshit rules. Because YouTube, it's not about protecting kids. It's about legally they cannot collect data on children. So this is their way around that because they don't want to stop collecting data. So they just
it's impossible. Yeah.
So they just take the stuff that are like, hey, this is meant for kids, so therefore we're not going to collect any data on these specific videos via comments or whatever.
Okay, fair enough. What we should do is we should do what they do in Fight Club and just have inject one frame of hardcore pornography into each one of our videos.
That's a good idea. I should do this.
Made for Kids, my ass.
I think I would just get kicked off. They would just get our whole thing shut down.
It's probably we probably get mega cancelled, but what a story, right?
In addition to that, we got Tumblr, which is a bunch of comic panels and stuff. If you use Tumblr, it's over there. I have some socials I might link below in the description. All this stuff will be there. And then, of course, there's our Patreon if you want some bonus episodes and to help us not actively lose money on the podcast, which you do have to pay for regardless of whether you're putting out episodes on it or not.
Yep.
And other than that, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you feel like you learned making a podcast? Do you like Spider-Man? do you like him less? Do you like him more?
I like him different.
Yeah.
I think on the one hand, we have so much content that I'm kind of sick of a lot of the discourse. And I'm tired of people telling me how Spider-Man should be. And invariably most of the people are wrong. But I also think this particular corner we're talking about the animated series, and partly why I think it shouldn't be renewed is that most people don't know about this, and most people are happy to let it exist. And I'm happy to keep talking about it, but I don't. Yeah, I think Spider-Man's just blown up all over the place. There's a huge sticky mess everywhere.
He was a character made by people and contributed to by all kinds of artists and creative writers and stuff, but now he's a multimedia corporate mascot as well. So that means so much of it is diluted. I think there's a lot of people who like Spider-Man that like a version of him that has nothing to do with the original, which is valid and everything. But it's so all over the place now that I do feel less engaged with him in general. But sometimes I would go back, watch an episode of this show, I'll read a comic and I'll be like, nah, this shit is real good. So
yeah,
it's still a really relatable character,
I wish I didn't have the internet. If we could just watch him and not have to engage with anybody else in the world, then that'd be fine. But yeah,
yeah,
I think I like the show more. I like the character less because I have so much exposure to it that I'm like kind of just a bit done with like all like the discourse.
Well, if you're going to engage with Spider-Man in any way, just listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
Follow No Context Spider-Man on stuff.
Yeah.
It's on Instagram now. You don't even need to be on Twitter. It's on Blue Sky as well. Just hang out there and then get your dose
Or
of...
hang out on our Discord.
Yeah, our Discord
Comments
too.
are actually all like rational people about Spider-Man rather than like the YouTube comments, which apparently you can't even do that anymore either.
Yeah, just hang out, just sit at home and think about Spider-Man, you know? So you need to watch it.
Why don't you do that right now? Just sit and think about Spider-Man for the next, I don't know, 3 weeks, and then we'll be back with another episode after that at some point. Don't do anything else.